Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
Post-secondary institutes are expanding their mental health programs.
Since we've changed and augmented our services, we've seen a large increase in the number of students coming forward. And
a flu outbreak is occurring days before vaccination season begins.
Yeah, I won't say any more details because we don't like to reveal the details of where the outbreaks are.
Take a look at the impact of first-time voters in the upcoming election.
Because we think that we're filling a void of reminding students to vote and saying, you know what, your vote matters and we'd like you to vote.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening. The federal election is just 2 days away and voters are approaching the polls and some will cast their ballot for the first time.
Historically, the 18 to 24-year-old demographic has seen the lowest voter turnout in the country. However, there are signs that trends may change. Our Connor O'Donovan live from our news center with more on that story.
That's true. In fact, the last federal election saw a turnout rate of just 38% from that age group. But student and youth political engagement appears to be on the rise, indicating that this election may feel an increased presence from these voters. Candidates from the Edmonton Strathcona riding attended a forum at the University of Alberta on Wednesday. The forum was organized by the university's Students' Union as part of their Get Out the Vote campaign. The goal of the campaign: convince potential voters to make a pledge to cast a ballot.
I just want to thank you all for coming out.
Dylan Hanwell, the Students' Union VP External, believes that a lack of direct engagement, not voter apathy, leads to lower turnouts in younger demographics.
It's, you know, the reason why so many people who aren't youth go out to vote comparatively is because they're mobilized. They're reminded to vote by parties, by other individuals, and so that's
about 3,000 people attended the university's advanced satellite polls.
How many of you have already voted? Very impressive.
2011 census data shows about 3 million 18 to 24-year-olds in Canada. Now, 60% of this demographic did not vote in the last federal election, and political parties are starting to take notice of this untapped market. Dr. Chaldeans Mensah, a Grant MacEwan political scientist, has noticed a greater effort to target youth.
But things are changing. I think this time around, the political parties are using social media much more strongly, and this race is very competitive.
All of the major parties are on all of the major networks.
So I think we begin to see some bright lights ahead for the participation of young people in this election.
So, what issues do these young voters care about?
What's important to me would be jobs.
Trans and gay rights.
Your cost of education, cost of tuition.
Elections Canada has said that about 3.6 million people voted in advance polls, although demographic information was not available.
Connor, how is the young voter turnout compared to the overall turnout in the past?
Young voter turnout has experienced a steep decline since the 1988 federal election. However, for a period in the 70s and 80s, young voters saw a turnout rate around 80%, which competed with the other age groups. The national average, though, has declined to around 60% from an all-time high around 80%.
Can you tell us more about the University of Alberta's satellite polls?
Well, for the first time ever, Elections Canada has hosted polls at which students can vote for their home riding regardless of where that may be. The polls were set up at select universities and friendship centers around the country.
Thanks, Connor. That's Connor O'Donovan reporting live from our news center tonight.
Mayor Don Iveson is urging voters to think about urban issues with the new city-focused election campaign. Making the decision on who to vote for is tough. Mayor Don Iveson is prompting an online tool that can make it easier. The mayor talks about 3 key focal points to think about when voting: transit, infrastructure, and housing.
Cities, you're electing a more prosperous and more livable future for you and for your family. Vote for cities. But above all else, make sure you vote.
Go to cities.ca to gain more information before Monday's federal vote.
Alberta's Premier has announced a new panel to offer up some advice to the government on the economy. The panel will be made up of 10 people, including the Dean of the University of Alberta School of Business.
This committee will look at the whole range of our economy. It will look at non-renewable energy and diversification and upgrading and just the general health of that.
The group will provide advice to the government as it works to support Alberta's jobs. The first meeting will be held November 4th.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch.
The Alberta government is renewing its existing mental health system, and they're asking for your input.
Post-secondary institutions in our city are already taking steps to improve the well-being of their students. Our Stacey Ward joins us now from NAIT.
The government hopes to create conversation about mental health and improve its services through their online survey.
Kind of feels like the whole world is ending, very panicky. You kind of feel lost and confused, and you just really have no idea what to do or what's going on.
Tyler, like many students, struggles with anxiety and finds it difficult to focus on his studies. He plans to return to NAIT in the fall.
We're seeing an increased amount of stress, anxiety, and depression in our students over the years, and I think that's true across campuses in North America.
Depression and anxiety are our largest mental health concern that we have on campus. And those are in and around between the 60 to 80% of our students report that on the National College Health Assessment.
On Tuesday, the U of A held a fundraiser to expand its existing programs, which includes stress relief through animal interaction and counseling services.
Since we've changed and augmented our services, we've seen a large increase in the number of students coming forward.
This semester, NAIT is offering mental health first aid training for its teachers and are expanding that initiative at the end of this month.
We're starting to do it with some of our students, so it's a 2-day intense training to make people aware of the warning signs.
There is still a big stigma attached to anxiety and depression and everything. So some of us are maybe not quite so open to going to talk to someone, even though we know that the services are there.
Both the University of Alberta and NAIT have existing mental health programs in place, but are aiming to improve their services and create new systems to combat these student issues.
Thanks. That's Stacey Ward reporting from NAIT. To participate in the survey, go to naitnewswatch.ca and click on links. Submission closes this Friday.
Alberta's health services confirms a flu outbreak in our city, just days before the immunization program starts this month.
Was it in a facility? Yeah, I won't say any more details because we don't like to reveal the details of where the outbreaks are.
Last year, more than 100 people died from the flu in our province, even though a record number of flu shots were administered.
30% uptake last year. That was the most Albertans ever vaccinated in a regular influenza season. But we still want to be better.
A flu vaccine is now being offered to infants. Anyone from 6 months of age or older can get a flu shot starting Tuesday.
Ones, we want to boost their immunity as well. That's why we have a live vaccine.
AHS hopes to vaccinate approximately 40% of Albertans, or 1.8 million people.
When we think about gender equality, we often think about the issues for women and girls. James Brown is a Canadian teacher and scholar who has traveled the world on an odyssey for equality for males. He's concerned that more boys and young men are underachieving, and they can be disengaged in school. He feels that society is ignoring their plight, and there are long-term consequences. His new book, Rescuing Our Underachieving Sons, speaks to the struggles that young males are facing within schools.
It means equality for everybody. It has to mean it for everybody. It can't mean it for one specific group. It can't be, oh, well, we're disadvantaged or whatever. We have to look at it in terms of, in its broadest sense.
As part of his odyssey, he has made over 70 presentations.
An important campaign in our city is helping those less fortunate with an essential piece of clothing. The Got Ginch campaign has made its final delivery here in Edmonton after a 7-month-long national drive. Rob Price dropped off 5,000 pairs of underwear to the Mustard Seed Church. The delivery is part of a cross-country initiative to raise awareness about the basic need for the country for the homeless.
One day they find themselves on the street, whether it's addiction or financial, whatever it is. And so they don't want to be there. You know, they want to figure out a way to get off the street, and and hopefully sometimes the underwear can help lead that first step.
The Got Ginch campaign has delivered 250,000 pairs of underwear throughout Canada and now are moving on to new ways to give back to the community.
Coming up after the break, balancing athletics with academics.
This week we find out what programs are in place at NAIT to help athletics excel, not only in their sport, but with their studies as well.
Probably the first semester is the most challenging one, stepping from school to NAIT.
Hi, I'm Matt Moswich. Coming up in sports, I have the OOKS highlights, both men's and women's. I have an exclusive interview with Clark Wilson, and I tackle rock jungle fitness.
Tomorrow's going to be just a couple degrees cooler than today, but still try to take advantage of the weather and spend some time outside because next week we won't be seeing this nice warm upper ridge. I'll have all that and more coming up after the break.
It's looking great in our city today. I wonder how long it's going to last.
Yeah, it's been a real treat. Eva Zawalik has that in weather.
Thanks, guys. Well, even though we'll see a slight temperature drop tomorrow, you'll still get another weekend here where you don't have to talk to people about snow. We're going to start the weather forecast in Calgary, where morning temperatures will begin at a low of 6 degrees, and that will rise quite a bit to plus 18 in the afternoon. It should be cloudy with a few sunny breaks and a slight chance of rain Sunday night. Moving east to Jasper, we're seeing a low of 3 with a 60% chance of rain earlier in the day, maybe clearing in the afternoon for a high of 9 degrees. Not as lucky as Calgary. Those in Fort McMurray will start their day with a chilly 3 degrees, but the temperature will climb to 13 in the afternoon with a mix of sun and cloud. Here in Edmonton, it will be sunny with a low of 5. But a bubble of warm air later on in the day will bring the temperatures up to 16 degrees. However, we're going to see a lot more clouds in the afternoon due to falling pressure. The average highs in mid-October this time of year are plus 10, and they average at a low of 0. Looking back in history, Edmonton's record high is 24 degrees in 1978, and a minus 16 record was set in 1905. That's a look at your weather forecast for tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
NAIT NewsWatch Weather is brought to you by NR92.com, the station for the students.
Student athletes are some of the most dedicated individuals when it comes to winning.
But before they can win, school has to come first. Our Hunter Johnson investigates the challenges students face when balancing academics with athletics.
Here at NAIT, we have some of the most decorated sports teams in collegiate history. But what does it take to get there? Strength, agility, maybe all those things, but what counts the most is school.
We also want smart players coming to NAIT because basically you're one injury away from your career being over. So we want these boys to have a good basic understanding that school is important and school is number one.
Greg Maropoulos says that some of these students face challenges every day that aren't even remotely athletic related.
Probably the first semester is the most challenging one, stepping from school to NAIT in terms of making an adjustment, living away from home, cooking your own food.
When the struggle happens, coaches are asked to intervene by the athletes' instructors to take action, whether that be a sit-down talk or giving them guidance on where to go next. NAIT is highly involved with their athletes, and when international students come here to play sports, they go through the same training.
First thing we do is we line them up with some seminars on time management, scheduling, and hopefully gets them off on the right foot.
Programs are becoming increasingly more available for students, and with their coaching staffs becoming more involved in their academics, all the students need is motivation. Hunter Johnson, NAIT NewsWatch.
Swiss joins us now with a look at sports.
So Matt, it was a big weekend for the OOKS hockey teams.
It was. Both the men's and the women's teams were in action. I have the highlights. We're going to start things off with the women because I am nothing if not a gentleman. The OOKS were looking to rebound after a 2-0 loss the night before at SAIT. First period. It's Hannah Fouillard with the shot from the point. It's high, but the OOKS get a generous bounce. Veronika Kuzalova on the doorstep to tap it in. 1-0 OOKS. The lead would be short-lived as under a minute later, the Trojans would respond. Sarah Botter with the shot. Kelly Noski fumbles the rebound in front, and Jocelyn Forrest scores to tie things up. Second period. It's OOKS captain Brianna Frasco with the shot. It hits a Trojan stick in front and finds the back of the net. 2-1 Ooks. That would hold up as the game winner. The Ooks take this one 4-1 and move to 1-1 to start the year. Switching over to the men's team, they were looking to continue their hot start to the year as they took on the Red Deer College Kings in the first of a home-and-home. First period, we're going to start things off right off the opening draw. Former Pensacola Ice Flyer John Dunbar forces the turnover. Charles Wells picks it up and feeds Jordan Wood in the slot. He puts the puck in the net. It's 1-0 Ooks, just 13 seconds into the game. They would keep the goals coming. This time, Wood feeds Tyler French, who rips one home bar down. The dreaded French-Wood combination makes it 2-0 Ooks, Wood's second point of the period. Skip ahead to the third period. Ooks up 5-0. We get some rough stuff. Clark Wilson gets tangled up with multiple Kings players. He decides to drop the gloves with Nick Fountain. Wilson landing some big shots. I'll give him the victory. Wilson clearly fired up, and the Ooks are fired up as they win 5-0, outshooting the Kings 52-25 in the process. After the game, Jordan Wood spoke about the chippy third period.
Well, yeah, we're not a very chippy team. We like to play the game the right way, but when we get up 5-0 on a team, sometimes that kind of stuff will happen, but yeah, we try and avoid it at all costs.
Now, as you can see by those highlights, Clark Wilson is a passionate, hard-nosed player. He hopes to bring that aggressive style of play to the Ooks this season. I sat down with the rookie to talk about his return to Edmonton and the next step of his hockey career right here at NAIT. The former Oil King returns to Edmonton after a stop in Prince George and a year in the ECHL, this time as a member of the Ooks.
Deciding to come to NAIT was an easy decision, not only because they had the program I wanted, but also because they have just a great track record. They always have a good team, always have a good coach, so it was an easy decision to come here.
Wilson became a fan favorite with the Oil Kings for his gritty, hard-working style of play, but he hopes to take on a more offensive role with the Ooks.
I've always known I was capable of being more reliable as a go-to offensive guy. My last year in Prince George, I put up some pretty good numbers, so I'm hoping to bring that over to NAIT this year and help in more offensive roles.
Last season, Wilson took the opportunity to play a year of professional hockey in the East Coast League, a year in which he gained valuable experience.
It was good. I had some good coaches there as well, playing in Indianapolis and in Stockton, so picked up a few things that hopefully I could bring to even some of the younger guys on the NAIT team and even some of the veterans as well, and kind of work with them and try to build something special.
Off the ice, Clark is enrolled in NAIT's television broadcast program, a program he sees as a perfect fit for him.
My main goal coming here is just to learn every aspect of the TV industry and go from there and see where it takes me, but I've always had an interest in entertainment, so movies and TV and stuff like that, so the more I can learn about it, the better, and just see what happens.
It's now time for this week's End Zone Challenge. I wanted to try something extreme, so I went to Rock Jungle Fitness to test my rock climbing skills.
All right, let's go. I'm going to give you a tour.
I met up with my certified children's instructor, Shailene, who gave me a tour around the complex. She set me up with my climbing shoes and my safety harness, and after a quick training session on the bouldering wall, it was my time to climb. It's my time to shine. I entered the day with zero confidence that I'd be able to scale a wall, but the rock climbing gods were on my side. Got it! A dashing success. I completed the wall in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. You may be shocked to know that is not the gym's record time. Conquered! But it's good enough for me.
Moss, that's unfortunate you didn't break the record, but looks like you had a lot of fun up there.
I did have a lot of fun. You know what? When going into it, I wasn't sure what to expect, but it turned out to be a blast.
Thank you, Matt. Coming up after the break, t-shirt season is ending, and some cannot afford proper coats for winter.
Coats for Kids kicks off their annual campaign and gears to distribute winter jackets to children in need.
We've got quite a ways to go still.
It's that time of year again. With Halloween right around the corner, what better way to celebrate than the new Paranormal Activity? We got all that more coming up in entertainment.
Outerwear provided by Elite Sportswear and Princess Auto.
Hair services by Rock Salon and Spa.
This week, Brittany and I volunteered at United Way and the Coats for Kids campaign.
Yes, our folding and organizing skills were put to good use for an even better reason. United Way is an organization helping those in poverty.
And the Coats for Kids campaign is one way that we can help out.
We've got quite a ways to go still. So hopefully groups like this today, we've got more groups this week and next week. So we'll be able to get those coats out into the hands of people who are needing them as well.
We jumped right in with other volunteers to sort, fold, and bag coats to be sent to those in need all over the city.
It was a bit hard to identify the piles of clothing, but once we got the system, we were golden.
Coats Kids and Families has been running for about 24 years in the Alberta Capital Region. So it's a very long running program, and every year the community steps up and donates and comes in to volunteer so that this program is possible.
If you are in need of a coat in our city, please call 1211. Also, United Way welcomes all volunteers and donations. You can go to myunitedway.ca to learn more on how to help.
Brittany, it looks like a lot of entertainment's going on this weekend with so much local talent.
I agree. We bring you Tom Armstrong with our guide to entertainment this week.
The TELUS World of Science hosts a very special night in which two Edmontonians showcase their amazing accomplishments in the name of science. Callum Graham is a musician from Edmonton. Being a part of the YEG music scene, Callum has played many venues including multiple cafes, clubs, and folk fest, but never did he imagine his work on the big screen.
Said, hey, we'd like to have you come down to Laguna Beach and work on this Humpbacks film for IMAX. So, not a call you get every day, but it was pretty awesome.
In McGillivray Freeman's Humpback Whales, many of Callum's songs are featured, but listening is just part of the IMAX experience.
Immersive sound system, so you're only going to find that in theaters that have a laser projector with it.
It isn't coincidence to receive a new 4K IMAX projector. It is the 12th installment in the world, and Greg Neven is the creator of the new laser technology, making new advances in viewing standards.
1,000, 10,000 times brighter than a laser pointer.
This makes viewing extraordinary to the naked eye. If you aren't busy on Sunday night, I highly suggest checking out the two funniest Canadian boys in improvisation. It's here at the Citadel where Colin Mottery and Wayne Jones will be leading an all-star cast of 2.
We have no idea what we're going to do. We just know that we're going to make it as fun as we can for everybody who comes.
The group will headline, but first welcoming Rapid Fire Theatre to assist in warming up the crowd by playing theatre sports. Sterling Scott is rumored to make an appearance. This local funny man will do some stand-up.
The show, you get improv, then you get some stand-up, then you get some more improv, and a really familiar face in Colin Mockery.
Doors are open at 7, and you can find tickets at the Citadel box office. Celebrating 32 years of theatrical experience under their belts, the Alberta Opera is preparing yet another hit musical. The company's very own Ferran Timoteo has adopted the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, The Steadfast Tin Soldier, and made it a musical. Both actors and crew alike have put a great amount of effort into the play and hope the audience will enjoy it too.
With incredibly talented people, it's hard not to want to put your heart into it, but also it's hard not to have fun too. It's a lot of fun.
The story portrays a soldier, his interest with a paper ballerina, and her ability to move. Meanwhile, a fiendish Jack-in-the-Box pursues the two of them as the tin soldier's life will be changed forever. The troupe will tour across the province to bring a musical theater experience into many new schools.
I think we have about 255 performances. It's quite a lot of schools.
If you would like to see this play, visit fringetheater.ca for the tickets and show times. That's right, it's going to be one fright of a night. With only 1 week away, Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension, will be the scariest up to date. A husband and his wife find themselves in a newly purchased house when suddenly things aren't what they seem to be. Their daughter begins to act very strange.
They're inducing a trance.
Where'd you get this?
From a box of like 80 VHS tapes the old homeowners left in the basement.
This tape is like 20 years old.
Tell me what you see. I think I see 2 men. Noises in my room.
You hear noises in your room? Okay, well Daddy will go up and make sure everything's...
Bless you.
We gotta find more of those tapes.
Look at this camera.
There's like obviously something going on here. What are you doing in here?
Is she talking backwards? Is she saying Bloody Mary?
Mike, don't move. There's something behind you.
Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension hits theaters Thursday, October 22nd. As well, we are looking to give away 2 double guest passes, a paranormal tee, and a webcam for all you Ghostbusters out there. Just tweet us your favorite scary movie at NAIT NewsWatch. First 2 tweets get the passes and swag. That's all for entertainment, and I'm going to go ride a whale into the North Saskatchewan River.
Well, that's all we have for tonight.
Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good night.
Well, that's pretty